Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise. And we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello, Dumela Mbagaetsu, Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe here. Welcome to another episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. I welcome you as always to be impacted and to be empowered. And I have a guest just for that job. His full name is Letlhogonolo Dintwe, but we call him King. And he does look regal, you know. You'll see what I'm talking about. But before we start our conversation, please, Mbagaetsu, go to that subscribe button and just hit it. Please, right away. We need your support. And welcome to the studio, Mr. Dintwe.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mogobe, for having me.
Yes. Yeah. It's a privilege, it's an honor. I think you hooked up with Andile, and he's the one who managed to get you.
Andile and Millie, actually, yeah, they managed to convince me to be on this platform. So I said, why not? You know, I've seen the amazing work that you've been doing. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be part of this and just experience it for myself.
Wonderful, wonderful. Would you care to give us a little bit about your background and, you know, where you studied, etc.?
So as you stated, my government names, I call them government names, are Letlhogonolo Dintwe. I called myself king because when I started my company, the Empire, I wanted to be a king of an empire, you know. So just growing up, I was an individual that was, you know, really outspoken, and my thought process was a little bit different from other people, you know. So I went to Lahai Primary School, continued to St. Joseph's, and then finally went to UB. But in between all of that, I found that the course that I was studying, which is economics accounting, which is so different from my personality, was not really my passion, you know. So with time, I just developed certain skills and just started learning, you know, the aspect of marketing, the aspect of fashion, you know, just business in general, you know. So I would like to believe that I am what you can term as self-made, and yeah, so the journey has been interesting.
Yeah. Let's talk about modeling, because I think that's where you found your feet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You started a local modeling agency. Tell us about that one.
You know what? I think with Empire, when I started it, it was more of building a movement, because back then in 2013, there were no modeling agencies, you know. And I just finished, you know, high school, and I was going into varsity. So I had this sense of fashion that was really bold and, you know, spoken, you know. So a lot of people thought I was a model. So I was like, why do people think I'm a model? But I think it's a height factor and the way that I dress, you know. So I decided to just get a few creatives. I started off with working with Belle Sabo, who's a local makeup artist. You know, we had a few photographers I worked with, KO Photography and Ness Photography. So I just got everybody together. I was like, hey guys, I just want to do this, you know. I had no idea what, should I say, the modeling industry was really about. So with time, I developed a model that was supposed to be a business model, holding auditions and having fashion shows. So funny enough, the first fashion show that we hosted was in 2014 at the Big Five Lodge. And that was around the times where we were hosting the youth games in Botswana. And, you know, I made a loss. You know, in a journey of being an entrepreneur, you know, there are certain stuff that you're not told. You're only told the
good stuff.
Part. Exactly. So I made a huge loss, you know, just being 21 years old and having taken all my savings, because by then my mom was still in the US. I put it all in the event, but majority of the people who came out were really my friends. So from then on, I did not really give up on it. I continued trying over and over again.
What was the idea? The idea was to find the Naomi Campbells of Botswana.
I think for me it was more talent. Yeah, I would say talent that is more homegrown and more, you know, authentic, because what I've noticed that we tend to take a lot of influence from the Americans, you know, and from the worldwide. But how do we stand out? It's by being original, you know, by being who we are. So I wanted to be able to find those and ideally put them on a platform that would just help them be creatives and just, you know, sell themselves. Yeah.
And then the Empire BW, the Empire Botswana. I think it's an audacious name. Tell us about the thinking behind that.
It's very funny. So I think people who know me personally, I believe in God so much, you know. So I remember that I was like, what am I going to call this? You know, what am I going to call it? And one time I was sleeping, just back then in 2013, and just came the Empire. And this is why king of an empire. So this is where everything came from. So I wanted to be able to build a movement and build like a school that is ideally just going to impact the industry in a positive way. Yeah.
And what? How does it manifest itself? If we're looking for this empire, what are we going to find?
I think, do you know, right now we are 9 years into the game. And what I can say is that it has been a bittersweet journey because of the shortcomings that comes with our industry in general, you know. But I can gladly say that we have made big moves that majority of the local campaigns that you see, let me just start from there. Is it your FNB? The most recent one that we did for them was the Changeables one.
Changeables, what's that?
The Changeables is an account that FNB has, and then they wanted models. So what we do as the Empire BW, we provide models to corporates. We've worked with Stanbic, we've worked with FNB. Even when FNB was launching the, the gold card?
Yes.
We did that whole campaign in terms of our models. So I would say that our growth and our footprint in the fashion industry has been felt in that form, that we are making, you know, those strides in terms of showing that, hey, we do have models that can ideally sell the product. We do have models that can, you know, you don't have to go to South Africa to go come get a model to sell a product for you. Why not use your homegrown people? You know? Yeah.
And what would you say was the biggest aha or biggest surprise in the 9 years you've been running this?
I think a lot of, I'm going to put it in two ways, right? I think, you know, Botswana don't understand the modeling of what modeling is, you know. I think they think of the runway only. So I see that there's a lot of, you know what, we still have a long way to go. And then there's a beautiful part of it because a lot of people are willing to learn. So now we have to be able to bridge that gap between, okay guys, we're not only talking about the models,
yes,
you know. Now we talk about the commercial part of things. Now we talk about the hosting part of things. If, for example, Mr. Mogobe is hosting an event, now we're able to give you hostesses who are going to make sure that your event runs slowly, you know. So for me, it's you have that part where I was like, okay, we don't really know what's going on here, and then now trying to introduce it, it's a new culture that people don't understand. But I would say it's half and half, honestly speaking. It's half and half, and we're still educating, we're still showing people that, you know what, there is so much to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you about the general image about a model: skinny, tall, and you know, sometimes long-haired and that kind of thing. This stereotype, is it justified, or should we be doing something to change it?
Do you know? So when we talk about modeling, and if you go back to where it started off, and people like big companies like Versace, you know, you're talking about Donatella, you're talking about Johnny Versace. When they looked at Naomi Campbell, they saw a different girl. And that's why Naomi Campbell did majority of, you know, their campaigns back in the days. So when you talk about modeling, we're looking for something that's different, you know. Is it a girl who's got a long face? Is it ideally a girl who's got broad shoulders? What exactly are we saying? We're trying to say that what the world is seeing as, should I say, you not being the most pretty. In the modeling industry, we're saying, hey, we actually need that, you know. So as time has went on, people like Tyra Banks have tried to break the norm of saying that a model needs to be tall, and a model needs to be skinny, and this is why we've got like plus-size models now, either both man and female, and then you have models who are ideally short, you know. So with time, we have tried to redefine that, you know what, models do need to look different. But the shortcomings is the fact that, you know, when you go to New York, when you go to Milan, they still go back to the norm of saying, you know what, we still want our models to be different.
Yeah.
We still want to see a model who's got a different jawline. We want to see a model who's got funny eyebrows, you know, because that's what they believe in. And it's unfortunate that we have to conform to that. But locally, what we have tried to do is that at Empire, I literally take everybody across all. Because tomorrow, as you can see...
Across the spectrum.
Yeah. As you can see tomorrow, BK Procter might say, hey, I want to do a campaign for
By the way,
plus
BK
size.
Procter is the guy who's on your cap.
So he's one of the people that we work with locally, and he can say to me, hey King, I want plus size model, I want a Caucasian model, I want all of that, and we have that, So that's the beauty of it.
And they're on retainer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the beauty of it is that we end up now breaking the norm of that models cannot be skinny. Now you can find a plus size model. The models that you want on a campaign are not your fashion models, but they're your just typical Motswana who just can sell you the concept of buying a card or by opening a bank account with whichever bank it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Botswana, we've done very well with 3 particular people: Mogobe, Emma Warriors, and Kauneka Rio. What are your thoughts on those, and to what extent do they represent the epitome of beauty in your industry?
I think, when you talk about, for me, those individuals are people that really put us on the map and really showed Motswana being any young girl that you can achieve anything that you want. Just starting from Mpule, because she opened the seal for us. Emma came and continued. Ghana Career still continues to do that, and I believe that they've really opened and set a tone that as a Motswana individual, is that a guy or girl, you can achieve anything that you want, and I really applaud the work that they've done for us. Yeah.
Okay. What about males? Apart from yourself, who do you have? Who's available on the male side, and how is the market for male models?
Okay, so what's interesting is the fact that when you have a fashion show, I'll just take it back there. When you have a fashion show, majority of the people are always looking forward for the males. Do you know why? Because they're not used to it. They want to see a male on the runway. They want to see a male showing the muscular part. They just want to see them, sell clothes and all of that. So in Botswana, we're really trying to, it has grown. It has grown. I don't know if you know of a gentleman called Emmanuel. He's one of the few models that I would say that has really solidified himself as a top model in Botswana. Even with us at our agency, there's a young man that we used to mentor. His name is Junior Tabang Abobe. He worked with Jews and ideally went to Milan, tried to go into that, into that space. So with me, I like to believe that we have really tried to push and actually produce models who can be into those model standards that the world actually ideally needs. Yeah.
Does one have to be buffed to be successful as a male model?
I mean, you have to have a certain look, so you cannot look like the next person. You cannot look like King.
Yeah.
You have to look a certain look. So yeah, definitely with the males, it's a bit more cutthroat because there's a certain look that you have to look. You have to look a certain way, masculine, and
But why is that? I mean, the market is vast, and the market doesn't look that way.
Can I tell you? Do you know we live in a digital world? So imagine if you have a campaign that is now, for argument's sake, let's put as chubby individuals. Do you know that sometimes we get more negative feedback on that as compared to if you put a male who's actually more masculine on it? So now, instead of actually applauding whatever company is trying to put on, should I say, chubby males, now we start breaking them. That Tammy looks like this. They look like that. So now we are picking on into the insecurities of those individuals.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult to try to bridge that gap of saying like, hey, you can still come as you are and be who you are and be accepted when we still have people who hide behind laptops and are willing to break you down. So
I have a very interesting view on this. When a baby is born, they're chubby, they have a little belly, they're a bit chubby, and I would think that is a representation of perfection. Why do we now believe that as they get older, they now have to spend hours and hours in the gym for them to look beautiful?
It's society. It's standard. It's society.
But remember, in the old days, a woman who was fat used to be good looking. In fact, the royalty in England, they used to fatten their women before marriage. Remember?
Yeah.
Have you come across that?
No, I haven't. But I mean, I would believe that.
Yeah. So it's just trends.
I think it's trends, even the times, because right now, I don't know if you're following what's currently happening on social media. It's crazy because now we have, these influencer girls who are now going to Turkey, to different doctors to get certain areas of their body, enhanced. So now beauty has really changed from, like you're saying, from being a plus size or being a thick woman to now you have to have a thin waist, you have to have ABCD, you have to ABCD. And it's because of, like I'm saying, it's the culture. Majority of the people that we see from TV, just starting from the American TV, that family, you know, now the girls are seeing that for you to be able to be good looking, you have to be lighter.
Which
Now
is crazy.
Yeah, which is crazy because now we're like, what happened to appreciating our skin tone and saying that you're beautiful and you're dark? You know, one person I think has been very consistent with her skin tone has been Naomi Campbell over the years. You know, obviously with time, you just start taking care of your skin, but she hasn't bleached to the point where you see that.
Yeah,
you know, she's.
I don't
no
think
longer
she's
her.
bleaching at all.
Yeah, because she loves her skin. But now we have this conversation where young girls want to look lighter and believe that looking lighter makes you beautiful. But believe me,
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
yeah. All right, let's talk about your other businesses that you've ventured into.
Yeah.
There's a creative legacy marketing. Is that
Yeah.
the name?
Yeah,
Tell us
Creative
how that came about.
Oh, do you know? I think the pandemic shifted a lot of things. The pandemic shifted a lot of things for us, and you know, I went into the pandemic, and I was really, you know, when you're not uncertain of what's going to happen next.
You are uncertain.
Yeah, you are uncertain, you know. And during those lockdown months, I was in the house, you know, I was working out, and I really asked God, I was like, what is the next move? Because I did not have an answer. Mind you, this company that I love so much, the Empire, has been bittersweet to me. But now I was like, what am I good at, you know?
Because it was on hold completely.
Yeah, like because believe me, the fashion industry here is it's brutal, and we're still at an infant stage where when you're trying to get people to buy in, it's totally different. So already I had been a marketing exec for a few companies down here. I used to do marketing for Rhapsodies, both Sibele, not Sibele, Airport Junction before, now it became Sibele, and Pakalani, you know. So with that, I was like, okay, since I'm good in this area, what can I do? And I used to have this thing of, if I'm doing marketing for one place, I'm solely, should I say, loyal to it, you know. But now, during the pandemic, I said, hey, why should I limit myself in terms of growth and my creativity and limit myself to one establishment, you know? So now I started, I head up a local clinic here, Dr. Precious of Pima Clinic. And I said, hey, I've been going
She's been on this show.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
that's my boss.
Yeah.
So I hit her up, I was like, hey, you know, I've been looking at your social media, I think you need A, B, C, D, blah, 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 you know? She's like, hey, write a proposal for me and tell me what you're seeking. And I did that. She was the first person to give me a big break. And ever since then, I will tell you that in between it, I had a graphic designer that was working with me before the pandemic, and I called him, I was like, hey Sam, let's get together and create a creative agency. And he's like, sure, why not? You know? So our first client was Pimo Clinic. We started doing marketing for Pimo. Engagement on social media was amazing. You know, we started with just small campaigns that impacted like women. We're looking at women's health. You know, your pep smear. We just started with one area that women, you know, really need to be doing. So that was, you know, my moment to now see, okay, what next, you know. With time, the word started going out that, hey, there's these guys, Creative Legacy, they do marketing, and then we do marketing for SMEs. We now have clients as far as Tamaha and Maung, you know.
Wow,
so
wonderful.
that is where I would say it started off, and then we're still growing, you know. It's amazing because now, being in the lockdown, we got to see that the only means of communication that we had was what? Was the internet. So now, we're taking advantage of the fact that we can sell different products. We can reach masses just by a click of your phone, you know, and say, hey guys, this is services that we offer, you can find us there. So far it's been, I think for me, it's the most, from all my businesses, I'm enjoying it more because it's in my element, you know. I'm a creative and I get to be able to express that through different adverts and work that we do for different clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you were active in the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
I'm myself a restaurant owner.
Yeah.
I'm curious what exactly we're doing there and what have you learned in that space from a marketing standpoint?
Mr. Mogobe is going to make it seem like we haven't worked together. Me and this man have worked together. He knows what great event we hosted.
Yeah.
I think for you know, working in the hospitality industry, it's a tricky business, and that I'm sure you can attest to. It's a very tricky business, and you just need to be able to find what makes you unique from the other establishment. You know, what makes black what is black, you know, the center of that. So having worked in that
What
space,
they call USP, unique selling proposition.
yeah, exactly. So ideally, when you find your target market, when you understand who your clientele is, everything comes at ease. But majority of the time is what I've noticed that establishments always try to say they don't want the young kids in your place. And I said, do you guys know that people who are 35 and 36, by the time after one night, we are tired of going to a restaurant. We feel like we don't want to go anywhere. But you're talking to kids who go to varsity or wherever. They're willing to go out Thursday, Friday, Saturday and go eat out with their friends. So now...
Well, I would never say anything like that.
No, yeah, but I mean, this is just feedback, you know, working in that space because, you know, you get a client saying that, hey, you know, our place is, you know, always roaming with small kids. And I'm like, but those are the kids who give you 20,000 in the middle of the night, you know? So it's an interesting business.
Especially at month end.
Yeah, it's an interesting business to be in. You just need to be able to find your footprint and be very firm with it that, hey, guys, if you're going to be more of hosting events, bringing in international DJs, let it be your own idea of how your business model is going to work.
So the marketing company, how many people does it employ and what is your most exciting project?
So right now I've got a team of six graphic designers.
Wow.
6 graphic designers who are on, because majority of our clients are on retainer that we work with. And, you know, for me, that's the beautiful part of it, that during the pandemic, I was able to create employment for those 6, you know. And I'm looking at absorbing, you know, more people. And the most exciting part, I know it's going to come off maybe derailing a little bit, but I think it's still in the very same spectrum. But the most exciting part about it is the fact that, for example, we've got one of our clients that we're doing work for in Maung. They're opening a hospital. That is Doctors Inn. For me, that is so... Doctors Inn. It's called Doctors Inn. It's a clinic. It's going to be a private hospital now. And HE and the vice president were actually that side, you know, just recently just to go see because it's funded by CEDA. So, you know, for me, that's the exciting part, to see growth. And this is owned by Botswana. You know, so when you work with different businesses that are locally owned by you, or is it ideally yourself like Mr. Mogobe, you know, it's really exciting to see that, you know what, as Botswana, we can actually achieve this, you know. And we have another amazing project that is coming out. It's done by one of our clients. It's called Psych Matters, the clinic. Psych Matters, psychology. They deal with psychology, you know. So Dr. Selamogo is creating an amazing platform, which is Workplace and Safety Summit, which is ideally now targeting people in your HR departments and talking about, hey, how has been your work environment been ever since the pandemic? So being put as, they put me as head of marketing for that project, for me it's really exciting because now we have seen how the pandemic shifted people from working from the office to now working from home, to now your hours being flexible, others being more strict, you know. So how does now your employer make it more comfortable for you to say like, hey, King, if you're working for me, how do I help you to help me so that you can be productive? So the aim of the summit is to be able to bridge that gap between, you know, the employer and the employee, to say what are the issues that we're facing in the workplace, you know. So that is, for me, I would say it's the
When exactly is the summit?
In August.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in August.
Will give us a date?
August 30th to, I think from the 30th, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, from the 30th.
We'll be looking out for it on social media.
Definitely.
And tell me, what are the key ingredients for one to have a successful campaign? What do you think are the key components?
Campaign in general, or for
yeah,
business?
like I mean, here you are focusing on the psycho whatever.
Psych Matters.
Psych Matters.
Yes.
There could be something else tomorrow. You did something for the clinic.
Yeah.
You know, what does it take?
Do you know? I can tell you this. You need to be authentic and original about what you're selling.
First and foremost.
First and foremost, right? And then 2, you need to be unapologetic in terms of what you're putting out. Should I say, is it the content of how you're putting it? If you've noticed, of late, majority of the campaigns that we see now, your big brands are engaging young people. And do you know why? Because majority of the conversation that is on the ground is being sparked by the young people. So if now you tap into the young people, is it the current, you know, the hot topics that are happening on the ground, you know? And you're like, hey, I'm going to build a campaign centered around, there's this video that's been going around for some white kid who's dancing at the Matthias or something like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, that guy, right?
It's gone viral.
Exactly, it's gone viral. So if you're a smart, you know, company, you pull somebody like that and you're trying to sell, let me say Vodacom or is it Orange, right? And you're trying to sell your SIM cards. You're going to get somebody like that to do an advert with. Already, you're now tapping into a campaign that is going to roll out because people are really talking about
So
it.
it has to be topical.
I think it
or
has
relevant.
to be topical. Exactly, because you cannot bring something that is way back to try to shove it down our throats to be able to say like, hey, this is going to work. No, it has to be within the time, you know. So you have to be authentic, keep up with the times, and know what's relevant. And one thing I think we keep missing as, should I say, people who own businesses or just generally just business owners, right, is the fact that we do not want to employ younger people. But guess what? As time goes on, now there's TikTok, you know, that I personally, for my age, I was just like, okay, fine, I find this very complex. But my kids at the modeling agency are teaching me TikTok. And that is the most relevant thing right now. So imagine if...
I'm into TikTok myself.
You see? So it's an amazing platform. So just employing the young people do add a bit of diversity and longevity into any business and campaign.
Wow, that's great advice. That's great advice. What do you think? One of the campaigns that I think has been really revolutionary, it's twofold. One is Nando's, and the other is Chicken Lickin. But Chicken Lickin has really blown my mind with the afro and everything. What do you think of campaigns like that?
Do you know, when you look at... So, you see, I said, there's one point that I said when you asked about what it takes to have a good, successful campaign, right? Is being unapologetic. Nando's is unapologetic about what they say, what they do, because they're not afraid to, you know, spark controversy. Because guess what? In anything that you do, you have to be able to push the bar a little bit, you know? Yeah, and they actually do that. And I think they really position themselves in a way that there's nobody that can ideally compete with them because they understand their marketing. In terms of Chicken Lickin is it's one of those, you know, franchises when you look, you're just like, you know, Hot Wings. And it goes way back. And this is where now, even with generations to come, that afro is something that has come with us. And they're not losing that. They're not losing that. And that's the beauty of actually marketing. And I love that, honestly speaking.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they don't mind us discussing them because they're out
so.
there. I think we're helping them, if anything. How would you say your previous businesses and the failures around the modeling agency have actually empowered you on the modeling side? And we'll talk momentarily about the cab business as well.
Yeah.
How has these failures really helped you, the initial failures?
You know, I got to a point where I didn't want to do the modeling part because it was really frustrating, you know. But it helped me understand that in whatever that you do in life, you should be able to expect that you're going to fail. And the only way to succeed is for you to keep trying again until you get it right. So right now, what I understand is that there are certain aspects of the modeling industry that we need to be able to understand. Are we hosting a fashion show? Who's our target market? You know, are we trying to tap into a new audience? How do we do that? So it has really shifted my level of thinking that in any business that I'm going to own from here going forth, right, I should expect failure. And then again, how do I, in the moment where I fail, or how do I now say, hey King, let's go back to the drawing board? Because now I had to go back to the drawing board in terms of like the business needs was revenue. How do we sustain the revenue to becoming A, B, C, D, blah, 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 blah. So with Empire, it's the very same thing. You know, one of my biggest dreams, even next year when we're attending 10 years, I want to have an office space for them. You know, I want to have a center for the kids, you know. So now we're working around
We'll talk to Mogobe Incorporated. We'll find you space.
Yes, I need to come here, you know. So right now, Empire has really helped me to be a better entrepreneur in terms of the decisions that I make. Because I don't make decisions based on, should I say, emotion, but now it's more of logic. And if it makes business sense. So if it doesn't make business sense, I don't do it.
Yeah. What do you say to the slogan that there's no such thing as failure, only lessons to be learned from it?
I agree
from
with
the
that.
event.
I agree with that because, you know, I'm one person that watches a lot of videos from Steve Harvey, you know, and all these TD Jakes. And one of the things that they really, you know, talk more about is that when you fail, there's always a lesson behind it. When you go through difficult times, there's always a lesson behind it. And every moment where I've lost money through a fashion show, I've learned that, oh, I made an error by doing ABCD, so I need to go back to the drawing board. So it's always a lesson behind your failure. It's not really failing. And for the fact that you are able to get up every single day, it means that you got a fighting chance to get it right.
Yeah. Tell us about your partnership with Procter. What exactly is that about?
So with BK Procter, he's one of the people that I genuinely love working with because he supports the Empire BW. And from time to time, I think not really from time to time, any video that he needs to be doing or campaigns, he gets models from us. So that has been a beautiful
Collaboration.
partnership that we have had, because even my kids, they really get excited just to, finally just wear local brands and get to show their talent. So I really applaud BK for taking that step and saying like, hey, I'm going to work with a local brand in terms of the Empire and get modeling from us. So we have worked together, and we just recently just did an advert, which I think should be coming out for this summer, which is going to be quite brilliant. I'm excited for that. Yeah.
And you encourage other entrepreneurs to consider collaborations if they're going to grow.
I believe in collaboration so much. I think, working in any industry, we're always sort of like battered against each other to like, hey, you cannot be great. You have to outcompete or whatever, be better than this person. But I don't believe in that, because if we work together, there's more, impact that we can do in good numbers as compared to standing alone. So I would push that any, is it entrepreneur or any business, that we work more on collaborations as compared to like, hey, I want to see Mr. Mogobe not doing well because of A, B, C, D. So yeah.
You should stop working in silos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Tell us about legacy cabs. First of all, why cabs?
That is one business that I think I'm going to grow gray hairs from, just from owning it. I'm one person who uses cabs a lot. I think from a very young age, my mom used to just, and that has been me. So with time, using different cabs, I was like, I wouldn't like getting into a cab and these funny smells in the cab, or the car is just shaking, and I'm like, what is going on, So for me, I was just like, I don't want to be there. And then, it was really, I don't know, for me, I was just like, okay, I really want to use that service, but there's always something that has to come with it, So last year, I think last year around this time, certain individual was just saying like, hey, I want to start a cab, would you mind funding me? Well, I was just like, I'm one person that if I'm going to do something and my money's on the line, I'd rather be in it solely,
Yeah.
So we started off in the notion of redefining the cab industry in terms of, one, cleanliness of the cab, two, how the presentation of our drivers is, three, the service in general. So I got into the cab business looking at those aspects, and ever since then, we've been slowly, it's a registered company, BRS, all of these, we're going through all the stages, transport and all of that, to get it fully furnished, as a full-on business. So it's been a journey that, when you look, trying to understand it, it's very tricky. But what can I say? That I think that the most beautiful part is that people are receiving it quite well, and it's not doing bad. It's doing quite well.
Yeah. How many cabs so far, and which areas are you operating from?
So right now I have five.
Five cars. Oh, that's a good number.
Yeah, I've got 5 cars, and we just based around Gaborone right now. What I'm doing is I'm one person that when I do something, I'm going to be different. So with this one, I say to myself, we're going to be different. We've got different services that we offer people. We have the pick and drop service, where we can go pick something for you and drop it off for you. We've got a pharmacy run right now. Is people are going
pharmacy
to
what?
Pharmacy run. Yeah, where people, you're at home, you're sick, you've got flu, you don't want to go to the pharmacy. Our cabs can do that for you. And one of the, should I say, exciting service that I'm introducing is now, like you're saying, different locations. We now have a cab that is going to be stationed in Pakalani. You have those people, is it your aunties, you're taking care of your kids that need to go to spa, but you happen to be at work and nobody can take them. We call legacy cabs. You take auntie there just for 40 kula, you take them back home, So now my marketing and my intention within is to be very direct and intentional to the target market that we're trying to target. Is it Letlhogonolo where people need to move from one place to another within the very same area? So it's an interesting business that I got into, and believe me, every single day I'm learning something. I'm not a car person, but what a mounting is, what, different stuff. So I really have to learn. Yeah.
Have you incorporated technology in the legacy cab business?
Technology in what capacity?
In terms of apps, in terms of accessibility and communicating.
Yes, right now we are actually looking at developing apps, but you know, this is one of the things I like saying. When Haloma Botswana understand your market and understand the people, Botswana, I'll tell you this, are people who don't want to access something in a difficult way. In the sense out, when you tell Botswana go download an app, do A, B, C, D, da 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 da, if they don't understand it, they're not doing it. You know? So I'm trying to work around a way that could make it more easier for them to be able to say, hey, if I need legacy cabs, is it, we're going to have an application that automatically are you in one of our cabs, and then we have a, should I say, a Mascom router inside. You just download an app. Every single time you need a cab, you just press legacy app, and then where it tells you your nearest, should I say, cab driver, and they pick you up, you know. So these are small things that if you introduce to them slowly but surely, they'll get into it. So right now, what we have seen that is an easy platform is WhatsApp. We've got something called Book a Cab via WhatsApp. So basically, they just send that full
Straightforward.
name. Yeah, straightforward. And it's working quite well. You know, it's working quite well. So now I want to be able to move from WhatsApp and make it our own as legacy cabs, an application that does that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're approaching some software developers to assist. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, it's almost a decade that you've been in entrepreneurship. What would you say are your biggest lessons that you want to share with our audience?
Do you know, I'm going to say something, and I think as to most, it's something that we don't really talk about. I think we try to make it seem like it's an easy journey. It's not. We try to hide a mask behind social media that we're doing quite well, when we're not. And I can tell you this, I think I have, apart from this year, I've actually broken down so many times and wanted to give up behind closed doors because I would not know where to look to or who to look to for advice or even funding, you know? So my main thing about entrepreneurship and my experience with it is that our mental health is important. We do not, you know, as Botswana, you'd see a brand like BK Procter and you would not know what goes behind that. You'd see a platform like this, but nobody knows what goes behind that.
Scenes, yeah.
So one of the things that I've seen and I've noticed that as entrepreneur, society has made us look like, in quote unquote, of the hustler. You know, and I don't like that word because when you say I'm hustling, it's like, you know, it's hard to reach something, you know, but that is not the aim. The aim is to bring change. The aim is to create employment. So our mental health is always overlooked. We're always seen as mind you, that money is not ours, our business. How is your business going to grow if every single, should I say, day as king I'm splashing all the money that, should I say, my drivers are cashing in? You know, that does not make sense. So my biggest conversation when it comes to the entrepreneurial world and just my journey is our mental health. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be able to speak and say, you know what, I'm not okay. I'm not doing well. I need
So
help.
do you advise that we should be more open about seeing therapists or even counselors?
Definitely. I will tell you from my personal experience. I had one day where I had a meeting, the summit meeting with Dr. Selamokwe. And that day I was like, I'm not going to show up. But because I know that that's a bag for me, that's a bag of money that I need to tap into, I had to show up. I got into that meeting and I was like 5 seconds from breaking down. And she could tell that I was not okay, you know. From there on, I started having conversations with her. We're going to be doing, I think towards the end of July, we're doing an entrepreneurship, mental health, wellness, you know, day. It's going to be a golf day and all of that. We're still working around it. And the reason why I wanted that platform is because I was like, I was not about to show up to something and pretend like I'm okay. Honestly speaking, I'm not gonna lie to you, you know, like I'm not gonna lie about it because it's my health, you know. And if we now invest more in seeing, you know, psychologists and talking to people and just being open to businessmen. You know, if I come to you, Mr. Mogobe, and say like, hey, I'm not doing well in this business. What advice can you give to me because you have more experience in the entrepreneurship world? You know, it's okay. But I think majority of the time people see that as failure. But it's not failure.
Well, how do you get over the stigma of people saying, hey, what? And we want to psychologist or psychiatrist. You know how people have that. It's
Can I
a,
ask
it's
you
a
a
wicked it's a wicked perception in my view.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
What does that perception pay to you? What does it do for you? Nothing.
Mm.
So people will talk, but inside you're deteriorating.
Mm.
People will have an opinion, but inside you cannot come and speak because of what people say. I think I'm very unapologetic about how I feel.
Yeah.
And how, if somebody says King failed in ABCD, I would gladly say I failed because
Yeah.
you know why? At least it took me the guts.
My
for
take
me
is
to be able
that
to do that.
your mind is actually your engine, is the most important part of you.
Exactly.
So if you're taking time to take care of it and to look after it, then kudos to you.
Yeah.
So mental health is very, very important.
It is.
I've seen Bissau Gaubakwe
Yeah.
post on social media that it's something that she's also working on. I don't know whether there are specific initiatives that you are involved in that are assisting your industry or fellow entrepreneurs that you could talk of.
I mean, like I just touched base on the Entrepreneurship Wellness Day that we're trying to do with Psych Matters. I think that one is the first of many that I want to be able to tap into. Like I'm saying, I'm not going to sit back and say like, looking like this is okay, you know?
Yeah.
Like I came here just well put together. No, you know, I had to mentally prepare myself.
Yes.
You know? So such a platform, as time goes on, obviously on social media, it will be rolled out, that they'll know about this Entrepreneurship Wellness Day. And, you know, we don't even want it to be, you know, either priced or whatever, because it's supposed to be able to help people, you know. So that is the first initiative I would say that with me is really close to my heart, because I know going to the deep end and trying to pull from there, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably a young entrepreneur watching this, scratching his head, wondering whether this could be me in 10 years. So what advice would you give a glassy-eyed young entrepreneur, possibly straight from school, at a time like this?
Do it.
Just do it.
Do it.
That
And the
sounds
reason
like
why-
a Nike slogan.
The reason why I'm saying do it is because fear holds us back from achieving a lot. You know, in school, I remember one of my lectures, economics lecture, her name Ge Mabakwena. She once sent me a quote. She was like, "School, you did not fail school, but school failed you." And the reason why she was saying that is because from our conversations, just, you know, studying economics and all this stuff, she's always picked that this kid he's just doing this course just to finish and just be done with it, you know. And the unfortunate part of it is that we live in a society where we are being told, for you to succeed in life is to go to school. They don't tell you about this part. They don't tell you about that part. And which is the most interesting and intriguing part of life, because you cannot achieve anything in life without facing challenges. So if now fear is the one that is holding you back from achieving, then you're not living. So I would say, whatever you feel, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy.
It's important to understand that.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, but it's the fact that if you're able to do it, you can achieve it. Yeah.
Wow. Now, we're at that crystal ball moment, looking at these three businesses, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's more than three. What do you see? Can you give us your outlook as a serial entrepreneur 10, 15, 20 years down the line?
I'll be inviting you to my own place too. Yeah, that's where I want to be. I think for me, you know, my conversations with a lot of people, they're always shocked at how, should I say, I'm bold at the things that I want to achieve, because I'm sure with you, Mr. Mogobe, too, you know, sitting here, you've always said to yourself, you know, I want to get to this place, I want to be able to do this. Even in businesses that you have not even understood how they work, but you're like, I'm going to figure it out.
Yes.
So with me, I have the very same thing, that 10 years down the line, my conversation would be different. My conversation would be, hey, I've achieved A, B, C, D, because I put my mind to it. You know, it's not going to be easy, but with me, I want to be no longer be termed as a serial entrepreneur, but as your owner of different, you know, buildings and whatever that I can put my mind to and actually achieve. So that's where I see myself in the next 10, 15 years.
So do you foresee yourself operating outside the country as well? In what markets?
Funny enough, so one of the companies that it's on the way, we see ourselves targeting Southern Africa, because we have seen that there's so many opportunities. I don't know if people really research. There's so many opportunities that, you know, we have as SACU, a SADC, that you can ideally just tap into and see like, okay, fine, from this point, where do I go? So one of the businesses that we are really trying to get off the ground, which is taking a whole lot of time and energy, is to be able to penetrate the Southern Africa. If South Africans are able to do it, why can't we? So I think that is my bigger vision of that. From then, if we now target Southern Africa, Africa is ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a question for me, sir?
So, guys, I think this, I don't know, Mr. Mogobe, I don't know if anybody has asked, but I think they have asked you this question, In the process of you getting to the chair that you're sitting, what would you say that you have lost that is not monetary, but ideally, would I say would have made you whole, or is an epicenter of you that you lost through the journey?
Yeah, some of it I regret, some of it I have mixed feeling about, where you have friends, right? And you have relatives who you got along with maybe in your teens, in your 20s, people that you just gave you that special feeling.
Yeah.
But when you went into a certain gear or a certain level, they felt threatened, they felt uncomfortable, they were constantly pulling you down, and you had to make very, very difficult decisions where you had to cut them loose, or even sadly decide that I'm going to love these people from far.
Yeah.
So for me, that's always been a painful part of the quote-unquote success that I've enjoyed, where I've had to cut a lot of people loose, that I realize that if I cling on to these people, I will not get to the level that I want.
Yeah.
Even though they make me feel good, hanging with them, chilling with them, going these places, doing things on let's go and party, you just drop what you're doing, with those sort of guys.
Yeah.
Those things I still wish I could experience, but I've come to realize, not just from my faith in terms of biblical, influences and, parental forces and other things, but also from wanting to be an exceptional entrepreneur, wanting to cultivate a certain brand.
Yeah.
It required cutting some of those connections loose, and it wasn't easy, some of them, because some of the people were very close to my heart.
Nice. Yeah. I think there's a quote I saw sometime back, just touching base on when you're saying that, they would judge and all of that. That said, that people, it said something along that people are, it's not really, should I say offended, but they love it when you're mediocre. But the moment that you tend to be, your light tends to shine, they're intimidated. So it's
not only that, they pull you down.
Exactly.
They actually, like the crabs in a bowl.
Yeah.
They're pulling you down.
Yeah.
So that is the challenge. Now I want you to share a parting message. Look at that camera, and I would like you just to share a parting message with that viewer. Words of encouragement, something inspirational.
So what I'd advise, or should I say just what my last parting words are, guys, one thing is one thing. Anything that you do, anything that you want to achieve is possible. And it only takes a leap of faith. It only takes you taking that bold step in terms of saying that, you know what, I'm going to try this out. As much as it might not work out, as much as it might not seem as something that you would do, for the long, but it's a matter of you trying. So believe in yourself. Always put God first, guys. God does amazing stuff, Always put God first. And, go after your dreams, Your dreams are valid and you can achieve each and every single one of them.
I forgot to ask you the Saga question that youngsters always say. Mr. Mo, why didn't you ask him about Saga? Is there serious Saga money being in any of these businesses that you'd recommend to people to focus on?
Is there serious money?
Yes.
Money is money. Money is money. Like, I think the one, which I think people are going to take this on. The one that I really, really, really love and I focus more on is the marketing one. And that's where I can say is the it's our bread and butter because
It's your cash cow.
yes, my cash cow. Yeah, and it has opened for Legacy Cabs to be there, and then again with Legacy Cabs, it's opening its own doors. So I think again there's a series of, should I say,
Interconnectedness.
yeah, things that need to be put in place. All the businesses have their own way of bringing in income, but the most one that is bringing income, the marketing agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'd say the same about the property business as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do people reach you? What contact details do you have? Share those.
You guys can follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, King Vanderbilt, and then in terms of
Say that name slowly. Maybe even spell it.
King Vanderbilt, King, and then Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt. That's on Instagram and Facebook. And in terms of the other businesses, Legacy Cabs is there on Instagram at Legacy Cabs, on social media too. In terms of marketing, if you're an SME business and you're looking for, top-notch marketing, come to us at Creative Legacy 29 on all our platforms. And then if you're a model trying to get into the industry, the Empire BW is where you can find us.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get the Vanderbilt name? Sounds Dutch.
I got it from a show. I got it from a show. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think one of these shows is it Gossip Girl. So it was it had this rich kids type of vibe. So I was just like, I want to be like them. I want to go to, they stayed in Manhattan. I was like, I want to stay in Manhattan too.
Yeah.
So with my friends, I like joking that where I live in phase 2. I call it Manhattan. I'm like I'm in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So these small things that you ideally look, it's just you manifesting to the universe. So that's how I came up with the name Vanderbilt. I was like, okay, king of an empire, surname Vanderbilt. King, you want to get what? Successful and rich. So yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
And it works. I don't remember you mentioning a contact number.
Oh, contact number 72139307. I'll repeat that again, 72139307.
Okay. You've been a wonderful guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having
All
me,
right.
Mr.
Very,